What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with the weekly reset breakdown for Tuesday, July 30th, so we're at the final weekly reset of the month, but also the final weekly reset of the initial Act 3 drop, so this will be the Act 2 finale, essentially, so we get some more quest steps, as well as a hidden mission, and the final bits of core progress before Act 3 of the episode, so we'll talk about all of that stuff, as well as weekly challenges, and updates from Bungie, then we'll cover featured rewards, and game modes for the week, the Nightfall, dungeons, raids, and all of that good stuff. So, as always guys, I hope you enjoy the video and find it useful. If you do, a rating below very much helps us out on the channel, but now let's get into it. And so initially, we are in the final week of new content dropping as part of Act 2. After this, there'll be a short break for a few weeks before we get to Act 3, outside of things like Solstice and that dropping. But for this week's content, Failsafe will as always give us some story quest steps. So for a quick breakdown of those, firstly we need to meet Failsafe at the helm, and then we need to explore the sunken cavern on Nessus and defeat the Vex who holds the code that Failsafe requires. There'll be a couple of dialogue steps as always, and then there's a new mission called Shell that we'll jump into with Saint 14 on Nessus, so that'll be interesting. And it seems like the final week of each act sort of has one of these unique missions based on what we saw in the previous act as well. And for players who've been wondering where the perfect paradox is, it looks like after we complete that mission, when we visit Saint in the hangar, he'll give us the initial drop of perfect paradox, and then it should unlock into the loot pool and things like that for the seasonal content. Then moving over to the weekly challenges, the first one is to complete Act 2 Part 3 of A Rising Chorus, so that's the story part. And also, there's one to complete the Nest 06 research quest, so we're going to get access to that quest at some point after the story steps are concluded. And that will give us the final vendor upgrade that we'll get for Act 2 as well. Additionally though, there is Nessian Expert to complete an Episode Echoes Battleground on Expert difficulty, one to complete bounties from Failsafe at the helm, and to complete all Act 2 weekly activity challenges. There's also Nessus activities to complete patrols, bounties, public events, and lost sectors on Nessus. And then Most Dangerous Prey to defeat Guardians in Gambit or Crucible, as well as taking all challenges to complete weekly playlist challenges including Vanguard Ops, Crucible, Gambit, or seasonal challenges. And then calibrate close range weapons like sidearms, SMGs, shotguns, glaives, and swords, and there's bonus progress there for defeating Guardians. And as far as we know it, that'll be the Act 2 content for the week, so let us know if you'll be diving in to get things wrapped up, and of course Act 3 I believe is going to drop sometime around the end of August, so 3 or 4 weeks to go, and between now and then of course we have the mid-season update, as well as the launch of Solstice, which will be at the next weekly reset. But for this week, back to the Pale Heart of course, all of the sort of challenges and objectives will reset, so we'll get the Pinnacle to complete the co-op missions, and also the ones that come from the Salvation's Edge raid and Excision. But otherwise, over to the Vanguard, the Nightfall for this week will be Exodus Crash. I think that's the first time it's come up as an actual Nightfall. I've only played it a couple of times earlier on in the act, so it'll be interesting to see it as a Nightfall, and especially a Grandmaster once again. In terms of what the weapon will be, I'm not going to make any promises because the rotations just appear to keep changing. I think perhaps a couple more weeks and we'll have a very clear kind of rotation for the weapons. But additionally, the Spire of the Watcher dungeon will be featured, so once again, entirely farmable. That includes the Legendary loot pool and the exotic, the Hierarchy of Needs. So another good activity to jump into if you're after catching up on any of those rewards. But in the Legends tab, the featured exotic mission this week will be Star-Crossed according to Bungie, so that's the one from back in Season of the Wish, where we can pick up the Wishkeeper exotic bow. That is a craftable weapon with some catalyst upgrades. All of that stuff will be entirely farmable while the mission is featured, so let us know if you're playing any catch-up there. And then finally, over to Eternity, and the Dares of Eternity right here, the additional drops on top of the core loot table will be the Scatterhorn and Pathfinder armor sets, as well as a bunch of weapons from Season of the Lost and a couple of world drops from Forsaken. And then for the featured Lost sectors this week, which of course can be farmed for certain legendary drops, as well as chances at exotic engrams. And for Tuesday, we're going to get Bunker E15 on Europa, and that'll be able to drop Crux Termination, Nox Perennial, PSI Hamatic, and the Rossarago. Then it'll be Concealed Void on Europa for July 31st, dropping Combined Action, Last Foray, Parabellum, and Old Sterling. Then on August 1st, we'll get the Conflux on Nessus, which will drop the Geodetic HSM, Glissando 47, Heliocentric, and Mikado 45. Then the rotation for legendary drops completely resets, so August 2nd is Thrillerdrome on Neomuna, August 3rd will be Hydroponics Delta, and then we'll get Vel's Labyrinth in the Cosmodrome for August 4th, and Exodus Garden 2A in the Cosmodrome for the 5th of August. And finally, for those completing Ascendant challenges still from back in the day, it's our last mention for the week, but it'll be the Shattered Ruins, which can be found via the Spine of Keres, so pretty close to the spawn, but if you want the location for that, we'll run some gameplay at the end of the video. And for today, guys, that is what we have to speak about for the weekly reset. So, as always, I hope this video has been useful, and if it has, a rating below very much helps us out on the channel. Also be sure to get subscribed, and I'll keep you posted with more Destiny content. You can hit the notification bell as well if you don't want to miss out on any of that stuff, but let us know what you'll be getting done in the game this week. And otherwise, I appreciate you tuning in, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.
You